Before we begin today's story, I'd like to warmly welcome everyone to WooEnglish, where we learn English through captivating stories. Today, we're delving into the tale of Robin Hood. Each sentence is crafted to be clear and simple, making it perfect for those looking to improve their English skills. Remember, this story is meant for educational purposes. If you enjoy this story and find it helpful, please show your support by pressing the like button. Your likes really help and encourage us. We also love to see your thoughts and comments, so don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Now, let's dive into the story and enjoy the adventure together. Chapter 1. Introduction to Robin Hood. In the heart of England, nestled within the sprawling greenery of Sherwood Forest, the legend of a hero was born. His name? Robin Hood. A figure draped in mystery and clad in the garb of a woodsman, Robin Hood has captivated the imaginations of young and old alike for centuries. Today, let's journey back in time to uncover the roots of his story, exploring the blend of history and myth that surrounds this famed outlaw. Once upon a time, during the reign of King Richard the Lionheart, the land of England was a tapestry of bustling towns, quiet villages, and vast forests. Among these was Sherwood Forest, a vast expanse of woodlands that stretched as far as the eye could see. It was within these woods that Robin Hood and his band of merry men would come to find their home, living as outlaws hidden from the reach of the law. But who was Robin Hood? And why did he choose a life hidden beneath the canopy of Sherwood? The tales tell us he was a man of noble birth, born in the town of Locksley, who found himself wronged by corrupt officials. With a heavy heart, he fled to the forest, vowing to protect the poor and innocent against the greed and cruelty of those in power. Robin Hood was not alone in his quest. His charm and bravery attracted many who were equally disenchanted by the injustices they faced. Among them were his loyal companions, Little John, his right-hand man, known for his strength and size, Friar Tuck, a jolly cleric with a love for food and fairness, and Maid Marian, brave and beautiful, who would steal Robin's heart. Together, they formed a family of sorts, bound not by blood, but by a shared commitment to justice and equality. They lived off the land, and although their lives were humble, they were rich in camaraderie and purpose. Robin and his merry men became famed for their exploits, robbing from the rich to give to the poor. Their daring adventures would often outwit the greedy Sheriff of Nottingham, who was relentless in his pursuit to capture Robin Hood. These stories of Robin Hood are woven through with threads of both truth and fiction. Historians still debate over the real identity of Robin Hood, or whether he was a composite of several individuals who lived during different times. Despite these uncertainties, the essence of Robin Hood's story remains a powerful symbol of heroism and justice. As the sun sets over Sherwood Forest, casting long shadows between the trees, one can almost hear the laughter of the merry men and the twang of Robin's bow. In these stories, Robin Hood is more than just a man. He is a hero of the people, a beacon of hope in times of hardship, and a reminder that sometimes, to uphold justice, one must defy the rules. So, let us begin our tale here, in the verdant depths of Sherwood, where legend and history blend into the captivating story of Robin Hood, the outlaw who became a king in the eyes of the common folk. As we unfold the pages of history and myth, keep your ears open and your heart ready to join Robin and his band on their noble adventures. Chapter 2. The Early Years. In the rolling green hills of Nottinghamshire, young Robin of Locksley grew up under the watchful eyes of his parents. His father, a respected forester, taught Robin the secrets of the woods, while his mother, known for her kindness and wisdom, nurtured his compassionate spirit. It was in this serene environment that Robin's character was shaped, surrounded by nature and the simple joys of rural life. Robin's childhood was filled with the rustic adventures that would later become the foundation of his legend. He learned to navigate the thickets and streams of Sherwood Forest as if they were the streets of his own village. His father, skilled with a bow, passed on his expertise to Robin, who became an exceptional archer. His aim was true, and his arrows flew with precision, often leaving those who watched in awe. However, life in medieval England was not without its hardships. The common folk, including Robin's family, were often at the mercy of the nobility and the laws that favoured the rich and powerful. Robin's father, though merely a forester, often found himself defending his lands against the encroachments of greedy landlords and corrupt officials. From a young age, Robin was exposed to the injustices inflicted upon his community. During these formative years, Robin's sense of justice and fairness was deeply ingrained. He saw how the poor were mistreated and how the wealthy exploited their power. His parents taught him the virtues of honesty, charity, and bravery, values that would one day inspire his crusade against the corrupt sheriff of Nottingham. As Robin grew older, he became known not only for his skill with the bow, but also for his charismatic leadership. Other youths in the village looked up to him, drawn to his infectious courage and unwavering sense of right. Even at a young age, he had the makings of a leader, one who could unite people under a common cause. But Robin's carefree days were not to last. A turning point came when he was just a teenager. His father, involved in a dispute over land rights, found himself on the wrong side of the law. Falsely accused of poaching in the king's forests, he was arrested and imprisoned. This injustice struck a bitter chord in young Robin's heart. Despite his mother's tears and pleas, his father was taken away, leaving the family to fend for themselves in a world that seemed suddenly cruel and unforgiving. This event marked a significant change in Robin. The boy who once roamed the woods without a care now saw the forest as a refuge and a place of resistance. His father's imprisonment taught him about the darker side of authority and the corruption that could lurk behind it. It was then that Robin vowed to fight against the injustices that had shattered his family. With his father gone, Robin took on the responsibility of supporting his mother and siblings. He used his skills to hunt and gather food, often venturing into the king's forest despite the risks. Each arrow he notched and each animal he hunted was a small rebellion against the oppressive laws that had wronged his family. As he stood in the fading light of the forest, looking out over the land that had raised him, Robin felt a profound connection to the people of Nottinghamshire. He knew their struggles and their pain. It was in these early years that the seeds of rebellion were sown, and Robin of Locksley began to transform into Robin Hood, the legendary outlaw who would become a hero to the oppressed. In the peaceful glades and hidden valleys of Sherwood Forest, Robin's resolve hardened. He would not just be a survivor or a silent witness to tyranny. He would be a defender of the downtrodden, a beacon of hope to those who had none. His journey had only just begun, but his path was clear. Sherwood was not just his home, it was his battleground, and Robin Hood was ready to stand against the tide of injustice. Chapter 3. Becoming an Outlaw. The turning point in Robin of Locksley's life arrived unexpectedly, a moment that would thrust him from the life of a villager into the shadows of Sherwood Forest as an outlaw. It was a bright spring morning when the incident that would change his destiny unfolded, beginning as a simple act of kindness, but ending in a charge of treason against him. Robin was walking through the market of Nottingham, a place bustling with townsfolk, merchants and travellers. His sharp eyes caught sight of an old man being mistreated by the sheriff's guards. The guards were rough and cruel, accusing the elderly man of stealing bread he had clearly purchased. Without a second thought, Robin stepped forward, defending the old man with words of reason and justice. However, the Sheriff of Nottingham, who was present that day, was not a man known for his compassion or fairness. Enraged by Robin's boldness and disdain for his authority, he commanded his men to arrest him. Robin, realizing the peril he was now in, made a swift decision. He wrestled free from the guard's grasp and fled towards the only place he could think of where the sheriff's men would not immediately follow, Sherwood Forest. As Robin dashed into the dense woods, the reality of his actions dawned on him. He was now an outlaw, a fugitive in his own land. The forest, once a place of childhood adventures, had become his sanctuary and hiding place. His first days in Sherwood were fraught with uncertainty and danger. He was alone, without food or shelter, and the sounds of the forest at night were eerie and unfamiliar. Despite these hardships, Robin was quick to adapt. He built a rudimentary shelter from branches and leaves and used his skills as an archer to hunt for food. The forest slowly revealed its secrets to him, from the hidden paths beneath the thick canopies to the clearings that caught the sunlight just right. Each day, Robin grew more attuned to his surroundings, learning to live in harmony with the land that was now his home. But Sherwood Forest was not devoid of human presence. Other outlaws and dispossessed individuals roamed the woods, each with their own story of injustice and survival. Robin's reputation as a skilled archer and his noble cause quickly spread among them. It wasn't long before he encountered a group of these outcasts, wary of each other yet bound by their common plight. Among them was Little John, a man of great strength and loyalty, who would become Robin's closest companion. Their first meeting was anything but friendly. It involved a contest of skill and strength across a narrow river crossing, where neither man wanted to give way. The contest ended in laughter and mutual respect, marking the beginning of a legendary friendship. Together with Little John and others who joined them, Robin formed a band of merry men. They pledged to protect each other and fight against the injustices imposed by the corrupt Sheriff of Nottingham and the wealthy nobles who supported him. Sherwood Forest transformed from a place of refuge to a base of resistance. Robin also instilled a code among his men. They were to help the poor and the helpless, redistributing the wealth they acquired from those who abused their power. This principle earned Robin and his merry men the love and respect of the common people, who saw them not just as outlaws, but as heroes. As days turned into weeks, Robin Hood, once a mere villager, had become a symbol of hope and resistance. His adventures were just beginning, but his commitment to justice was already as deep as the roots of Sherwood Forest itself. In the heart of the woods, under the cover of ancient oaks, a legend was being forged, one that would echo through the ages. Robin Hood, the outlaw of Sherwood Forest, was no longer just a man. He was a movement, a beacon of hope for those who had none. Chapter 4. Gathering the Merry Men. In the dense, leafy expanse of Sherwood Forest, Robin Hood, now a determined outlaw, realized that a single man could do little against the injustices inflicted by the powerful. He needed allies, kindred spirits who shared his passion for justice and his desire to help the downtrodden. It was in this spirit that Robin began to gather around him a band of men who would become as legendary as he was. They would be known as the Merry Men. One bright morning, as the dew still clung to the grass and leaves, Robin encountered the first of his future comrades. Little John, a giant of a man with strength unmatched and a heart just as large, stood in his path. Their meeting was not a peaceful one at first. It occurred on a narrow log bridge over a stream, where neither man would yield the way to the other. Instead, they decided to settle the matter with a contest of balance and skill. Armed with long wooden staffs, they duelled, each trying to knock the other into the water below. The battle was fierce and good-natured, and it ended with both men tumbling into the stream, laughing at their shared stubbornness. From that day forward, Little John became Robin's loyal right-hand man, his strength and courage a cornerstone of the band. Not long after, Robin Hood's fame as a protector of the poor spread through Nottinghamshire, drawing the attention of others who shared his ideals. Among them was Friar Tuck, a jovial and rotund priest with a spirited disposition and a distaste for the sheriff's cruelty. Robin met Friar Tuck one afternoon when he heard the melody of a song floating through the trees. Following the sound, he found the friar, a merry figure who welcomed Robin with open arms and a shared meal. The friar's deep belief in justice and his disapproval of the sheriff's greed made him a natural ally. He joined Robin, offering not only his skills with a staff, but also his wisdom and spiritual guidance. The most noteworthy of Robin's encounters, however, was with the brave and beautiful maid Marian. Legend has it that Robin had known Marian since childhood, but she had been sent away to a distant land. Fate brought her back to Nottinghamshire, where she learned of the cruel deeds of the current rulers and the acts of defiance by the mysterious Robin Hood. Disguised as a commoner, Marian ventured into Sherwood Forest, hoping to meet this outlaw everyone whispered about. Her skills with both bow and sword impressed Robin and his men, and when her identity was revealed, it only deepened the bond she and Robin shared from their youth. Marian's courage and sharp wit quickly made her a key figure in the group, not only as Robin's beloved, but as a leader in her own right. With these key figures by his side, Little John, Friar Tuck, and Maid Marian, Robin Hood's band grew. Each person who joined had a story, a reason for choosing the life of an outlaw over the oppression of unjust rulers. They were blacksmiths, farmers, former soldiers, and even nobles who had fallen out of favor with the sheriff. Each brought skills that strengthened the group, from swordsmanship and archery to knowledge of the woods and the ability to gather intelligence from the townsfolk. Together, they formed a community, a family united under the leadership of Robin Hood. They lived by a code: to protect the innocent, to redistribute wealth from the corrupt rich to the impoverished poor, and to maintain a spirit of camaraderie and joy amidst their struggles. Their laughter echoed through Sherwood Forest, a sound that mingled with the rustling leaves and the songs of birds, a signal of hope to those oppressed. Thus, the merry men became not just a band of outlaws, but a symbol of resistance against tyranny. In the shelter of the ancient trees of Sherwood Forest, they planned their rebellions, celebrated their victories, and shared their stories, strengthening the bonds that made them legendary. They were more than just companions. They were a force for justice, led by the most famous outlaw of all, Robin Hood. Chapter 5. Life in Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest, with its vast expanse of ancient trees and hidden clearings, had become more than just a refuge for Robin Hood and his merry men. It was their home. Life in the forest was not easy, but it was filled with a sense of freedom and purpose that none of the outlaws would have traded for the most luxurious palace. Each morning in Sherwood Forest began with the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. The outlaws woke with the dawn, emerging from the makeshift huts and tents they called home. These shelters were crafted from the forest's own bounty, blending seamlessly into the greenery to avoid detection by the sheriff's men. Robin, as the leader, would often rise first, walking through the camp to ensure that all were well. His presence was reassuring, a constant reminder of their shared mission. Breakfast was a communal affair, with everyone contributing. Friar Tuck, who had taken on the role of the group's cook, would prepare simple meals made from foraged berries, herbs, and whatever game Robin and the others managed to hunt. Their food was humble, but laughter and stories shared around the fire made each meal feel like a feast. After breakfast, the day's tasks were divided. Some would go hunting or forage for edible plants and roots, while others maintained the camp or practiced their skills with bow and sword. Little John, with his immense strength, often led the training sessions, helping the newer members improve their combat skills. Despite the seriousness of their plight, these sessions were filled with good-natured rivalry and encouragement. Maid Marian, ever resourceful, taught the men how to use the forest to their advantage, making medicines from herbs and creating traps and snares. Her knowledge of the woods was unmatched, and her ability to move silently through the underbrush was often used to gather intelligence on the movements of the sheriff's men. Community meetings were held regularly under the great oak in the heart of the forest, where decisions were made democratically. Every voice was heard, from the youngest boy to the most seasoned outlaw. Robin presided over these meetings with fairness, always striving to achieve consensus and ensure that every member felt valued and respected. The camaraderie among the merry men was palpable. In the evenings, they gathered around large fires, sharing tales of their past lives, singing songs, and planning their next moves. These were moments of joy and solidarity that strengthened their resolve and deepened their bonds. The hardships they faced were many, but together they created a sense of family and community that was a stark contrast to the fear and oppression that pervaded the lands outside the forest. Life in Sherwood Forest was not without its dangers, however. The threat of discovery by the sheriff's forces was ever present. The outlaws had to be vigilant, always ready to defend their freedom and their lives. Robin was a master strategist, and his plans often involved daring raids on the rich to redistribute their wealth among the poor. These missions were risky, but the success of each one boosted the spirits and confidence of his band. The forest also taught them the value of quiet moments. Robin often found solace in the beauty of Sherwood, the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves, the peace of the clear streams, and the mystery of the shadowy depths. He believed that the forest was not just their hideout. It was a symbol of the natural justice they fought for, wild and free, yet nurturing and protective. As the stars came out, the merry men would retire to their huts, hearts full and spirits high, ready to face another day. In Sherwood Forest, they found not just refuge, but a purpose that bound them together, a band of brothers and sisters united under the leadership of Robin Hood, committed to righting the wrongs of a world that had forgotten the meaning of justice. Here, in the embrace of the ancient woods, they were no longer outlaws. They were defenders of the downtrodden, champions of the poor, and guardians of the forest. Chapter 6. Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham. In the tale of Robin Hood, no character stands more starkly opposed to the hero than the Sheriff of Nottingham. A man of power and greed, the sheriff was the embodiment of the corruption that Robin and his merry men fought against. This chapter unfolds the saga of their confrontations, highlighting the cunning and courage that marked their legendary battles. The Sheriff of Nottingham was not just a figure of authority. He was a man who relished the control he wielded over the people. His rule was harsh, marked by heavy taxes and cruel punishments. To him, the law was a tool to be bent and twisted to serve his desires. When tales of Robin Hood, the outlaw who robbed the rich to feed the poor, reached his ears, the sheriff saw not just a rebel, but a threat to his dominion. Determined to capture Robin Hood, the sheriff devised numerous schemes and traps. His most famous attempt was the announcement of an archery contest. Known far and wide as the best archer, Robin Hood could not resist such a challenge, despite knowing it could be a trap. The prize? A golden arrow, a symbol of supremacy in archery that no true bowman could ignore. The day of the contest saw a great gathering. The townspeople came in droves, excited to witness the spectacle. Among the contestants, disguised in the garb of a simple peasant, was Robin Hood himself. His trusted men, hidden among the crowd, watched closely, ready to act at a moment's notice. As the contest progressed, the sheriff watched eagerly, hoping to ensnare Robin. However, Robin's skill with the bow was unmatched. He outshot every competitor, including the sheriff's best men. The final arrow shot by Robin split his opponent's arrow in twain, a feat that drew cheers from the crowd. The sheriff's anger boiled as he handed over the golden arrow to the disguised Robin, still unaware of the true identity of this remarkable archer. Another memorable escapade involved the sheriff's attempt to tax the villagers beyond their means. Robin Hood, learning of this, devised a plan to redistribute the wealth. Disguised as guards, Robin and his men intercepted the tax collectors in the forest. With a mix of wit and prowess, they relieved the collectors of their heavy bags of coins and returned the money to the overburdened villagers. The sheriff's fury knew no bounds when he discovered his coffers were emptied not into his treasury, but back into the hands of the poor. Despite these humiliations, the sheriff's resolve only hardened. He increased his efforts, employing spies and increasing patrols in the forest. Yet, every plan seemed doomed to fail. Robin was always one step ahead, his strategies a testament to his intelligence and deep understanding of the sheriff's mind. These confrontations between Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham were not merely clashes of strength, but battles of wits. Robin used his sharp mind and knowledge of the sheriff's character to predict and counteract almost every move he made. For every trap set by the sheriff, Robin devised a clever escape, not just for himself, but for his men and the people he protected. In one dramatic encounter, the sheriff cornered Robin and his men in an old mill. The situation seemed dire, but Robin, ever resourceful, used a sudden fog that rolled over from the nearby river to cover their escape. As they vanished into the mist, the sheriff's shouts of frustration echoed through the forest, a sound that would become all too familiar to him. Through these adventures, the legend of Robin Hood grew. Each escapade, each clever evasion strengthened the bond between Robin and his merry men. They were more than outlaws. They were symbols of hope and resistance. The people of Nottinghamshire revered Robin Hood, not out of fear, but out of love and respect for his deeds. In contrast, the sheriff's reputation waned, his failures a constant reminder of his ineptitude and the limits of his authority. In the ongoing battle between the cunning outlaw and the frustrated sheriff, it was clear that Robin Hood had captured the hearts of the people, becoming a hero not just through his actions, but through his indomitable spirit and unwavering commitment to justice. The sheriff, trapped in his cycle of defeat, remained a stark symbol of the tyranny that Robin Hood so fiercely opposed. This enduring conflict, rich with daring and defiance, solidified the legend of Robin Hood, a tale cherished and retold through generations. Chapter 7. Robin Hood and the Bishop of Hereford. In the leafy enclaves of Sherwood Forest, the tales of Robin Hood's adventures against the Sheriff of Nottingham had grown legendary. But the sheriff was not the only figure of authority that Robin challenged. Among the most memorable of his exploits was the time he outwitted the Bishop of Hereford, a tale that not only amused, but also inspired those who heard it. The Bishop of Hereford was a man of wealth and power, much like the sheriff, and equally corrupt. He was known for his opulent lifestyle, funded by the heavy tithes he demanded from the poor parishioners under his care. To Robin Hood, the bishop represented everything that was wrong with the authority figures of the time: greed, hypocrisy, and the exploitation of the powerless. One spring day, as Robin and his merry men were deep in the woods, they heard news of the bishop travelling nearby. The bishop was on his way to collect rents and tithes from the local villages, his carriage heavy with gold. Seeing an opportunity to correct a wrong, Robin devised a plan to intercept the bishop. Disguised as woodsmen, Robin and his band waited by a narrow path known to be on the bishop's route. As the bishop's procession approached, Robin stepped out onto the path, bow in hand, and greeted the bishop not with a threat, but with a courteous bow. Surprised and a bit alarmed, the bishop halted his entourage, demanding to know the reason for this interruption. Robin, with the charm and boldness that were his trademarks, invited the bishop to dine with him and his men in the forest. Bewildered yet intrigued, the bishop accepted, perhaps out of a sense of adventure, or perhaps because he sensed no immediate danger from these seemingly simple woodsmen. Deep in the forest, at a clearing beautifully set up with what appeared to be a grand feast, the bishop was welcomed warmly. The food was plentiful, and the wine flowed freely, all stolen from the rich and corrupt. As the meal progressed, the bishop, charmed by the hospitality, began to relax, unaware that he was in the company of the most wanted outlaws in Nottinghamshire. As dessert was served, Robin revealed his true identity and the real purpose of the gathering. He explained how the bishop's greed had caused suffering to many innocent villagers. The merry facade fell away, and Robin's tone became serious. He proposed a trade: the bishop's freedom for the gold he intended to take from the poor. Faced with the fierce and determined faces of Robin and his merry men, and far from any help, the bishop had no choice but to agree. He handed over the gold, and Robin assured him safe passage out of the forest, warning him to rethink his ways and treat his parishioners with more kindness and fairness. The bishop, humbled and a bit shaken, left Sherwood Forest lighter in gold, but wiser perhaps. Meanwhile, Robin and his merry men distributed the bishop's gold to the villages from which it had been unfairly taken. The poor rejoiced, praising Robin Hood for his daring and justice. This adventure was one of many that solidified Robin Hood's reputation not just as an outlaw, but as a champion of the oppressed. By challenging corrupt authority figures like the bishop, Robin showed that power could be contested, and that justice could be served, even if it meant bending the law. In the tales of Robin Hood, the episode with the Bishop of Hereford remains a favourite, celebrated for its cleverness, its humour, and its underlying message of social justice. It serves as a reminder that true leadership involves standing up for the voiceless, and that sometimes to correct a wrong unconventional methods may be necessary. Through wit, courage, and a deep sense of fairness, Robin Hood not only stole from the rich, but gave hope to the poor, making him a hero not just of his time, but for all times. Chapter 8. Helping the Poor. In the annals of Sherwood Forest's history, Robin Hood emerged not just as a skilled archer or a cunning outlaw, but as a champion of the common folk. His commitment to redistributing wealth from the affluent to the impoverished became the cornerstone of his enduring legend. This chapter delves into how Robin Hood gained the trust and affection of the people through his acts of generosity and fairness. Robin Hood's reputation among the villagers of Nottinghamshire was that of a hero. The tales of his daring raids on the carriages of rich nobles and corrupt officials were told and retold around firesides throughout the land. But what truly endeared him to the hearts of the common people was his unwavering dedication to helping those in need. One of the most celebrated stories of Robin Hood involves a winter that was particularly harsh. Food was scarce, and many families faced the grim prospect of starvation. Hearing of their plight, Robin Hood planned a daring raid. The target was the granary of the Bishop of Hereford, who had been hoarding supplies while the villagers suffered. Under the cloak of night, Robin and his merry men infiltrated the granary. They were not just thieves in the night, they were saviours, taking from the excess of the wealthy to sustain the lives of the needy. By the first light of dawn, dozens of sacks of grain and dried meats had been redistributed to the starving villagers. The gratitude of the people was immense, and their praises of Robin Hood echoed through the valleys and over the hills of Nottinghamshire. Another instance of Robin's commitment to the poor was when a cruel tax collector passed through a village, demanding payments that the villagers could not afford. Robin Hood, disguised as a beggar, mingled among the villagers to gauge the gravity of their distress. As the tax collector's cart, heavy with the day's harsh collection, made its way out of the village, Robin and his men, hidden along the path, relieved him of his burden. The gold and silver coins were returned to the villagers, who celebrated Robin Hood's bravery and kindness. These acts of defiance against unjust authority solidified Robin's reputation. The stories spread far and wide, attracting more followers to his cause. Men and women, young and old, came to Sherwood Forest, some seeking protection, others wishing to join his band. Robin welcomed them all, teaching them how to live off the land and stand up for justice. But Robin Hood's deeds were not just about charity, they were also about justice. He made it a point to expose the hypocrisy and greed of those in power. His actions sent a clear message that oppression and corruption would not be tolerated. This message resonated deeply with the common folk, who had long felt powerless against the might of the nobility. Robin Hood's influence grew so much that even the tales of his exploits seemed to carry a kind of magic. Children played games pretending to be Robin and his merry men, and his name became a symbol of hope. The people of Nottinghamshire no longer felt alone in their struggles. They had a protector, a figure larger than life, fighting on their behalf. His popularity also meant that Robin became a folk hero, a character in songs and stories that portrayed him as the embodiment of the common man's struggle against oppressive rulers. His legend inspired other acts of kindness and justice, spreading his ethos across the land. The impact of Robin Hood's actions was profound. His legacy was not just in the wealth he redistributed or the battles he fought, but in the hearts he touched and the hope he inspired. In Robin Hood, the poor and oppressed saw not just an outlaw, but a beacon of righteousness, proving that one man could make a difference, could challenge the status quo, and could tilt the scales of justice back in favor of those who had been wronged. Chapter 9. The Golden Arrow Contest. In the heart of Nottinghamshire, the Golden Arrow Contest was announced, a competition that promised to attract the finest archers from near and far. The prize was not merely an arrow made of gold, but a symbol of unmatched skill and prestige. For the common folk, it was a grand event filled with excitement and festivity. For Robin Hood, it was an opportunity cloaked in danger. The contest was the brainchild of the Sheriff of Nottingham, who, frustrated by his continuous failures to capture Robin Hood, concocted the event as a trap. The sheriff knew of Robin's renown as an archer and wagered that the temptation to prove his skill would lure him out of the safety of Sherwood Forest. As the day of the contest dawned, the town square was bustling with activity. Stands were filled with eager spectators, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Archers from across the land lined up, their bows ready, their quivers full of arrows. Amidst them, disguised in the plain garb of a craftsman, was Robin Hood. His disguise was simple, yet effective, hiding his identity from the prying eyes of the sheriff's guards. Robin's loyal companions, Little John, Friar Tuck, and Will Scarlet, mingled among the crowd, their presence a secret safeguard against any mischief the sheriff might attempt. As the competition commenced, one archer after another took their turn, each trying to hit the bullseye, a small target set at a challenging distance. The spectators watched in awe as the archers showcased their skills, but none could match the prowess needed to claim the golden arrow. Then, stepping forward, the disguised Robin took his position. The crowd fell silent, the air thick with tension as he drew his bow. With a steady hand and a sharp eye, he released the arrow. It soared across the square, striking the bullseye with a thud that echoed through the silent awe of the onlookers. Whispers rippled through the crowd as they speculated about the identity of this mysterious craftsman who had outshot even the best of them. The sheriff, suspicious and scrutinizing, approached to award the prize. As he handed the golden arrow to Robin, his eyes searched the archer's face for a sign, a clue to his true identity. But before the sheriff could act, Robin addressed the crowd, his voice clear and resonant. He spoke of the skill and fairness that archery demanded, subtly reminding the people of the virtues that their leaders lacked. As he finished, he slipped away, melting into the crowd with the golden arrow in hand, leaving the sheriff to grasp at shadows. The escape was swift and clever, a hallmark of Robin's legendary antics. His identity remained a mystery to the sheriff, but the story of the disguised archer who won the golden arrow spread like wildfire. The people's champion, as he was fondly known, had not only bested the finest archers, but had also outsmarted the sheriff once again. This victory at the Golden Arrow contest became one of the most celebrated episodes in the tales of Robin Hood. It was not just a testament to his skill with the bow, but also to his courage and intelligence. By daring to enter the lion's den and emerging victorious, Robin Hood solidified his status as a hero of the people. His legend grew not just as an outlaw, but as a symbol of hope and resistance against tyranny. Back in Sherwood Forest, amidst the towering oaks and whispering leaves, Robin and his merry men celebrated. They laughed and recounted every moment of the day, their spirits high with the thrill of victory. The golden arrow was more than a prize. It was proof that even the mightiest could be challenged, that cunning and righteousness could prevail over authority and oppression. This tale of the Golden Arrow contest remains a beloved story, inspiring all who hear it to believe in the power of courage and wit over might and tyranny. In the legend of Robin Hood, it stands as a beacon of hope, a reminder that sometimes a single arrow shot true can strike deeper than the sharpest sword. Chapter 10. Rescuing Maid Marian. Maid Marian, beloved by all who knew her for her grace and bravery, had been a part of Robin Hood's life long before the tales of Sherwood Forest. Born into nobility, Marian had spent her early years in a grand manor, where she was taught the ways of the court. However, her heart longed for the freedom of the forest and the simple joys of the countryside. Her spirit was as fierce as her compassion was deep, making her a figure of admiration and respect. As the political landscape shifted, Marian found herself caught in a web of intrigue and danger. Her hand in marriage became a tool for alliances, and she was betrothed against her will to a ruthless nobleman allied with the Sheriff of Nottingham. This alliance was not just a matter of hearts broken, but a strategic move to strengthen the grip of the sheriff's tyranny over the land. When news of Marian's plight reached Robin Hood, his heart ached with both concern for her safety and rage against the injustice being forced upon her. Resolving to save her from this unwanted fate, Robin planned a daring rescue that would require all his cunning and the loyal aid of his merry men. The rescue was set for the night of a grand banquet held to celebrate the forthcoming marriage. The manor was alive with lights, and the air filled with music, the perfect cover for a silent operation. Disguised as minstrels, Robin and his men infiltrated the banquet, blending in with the other entertainers. Marian, aware of the plan, kept her composure as she awaited the moment of her escape. As the night progressed, Robin's signal was given, a soft tune from a lute that spoke of freedom and love. The merry men sprang into action, creating a diversion that threw the guards into confusion. Amidst the chaos, Robin swept Marian away, his familiarity with the manor's layout aiding their stealthy exit. They fled into the night with only the moon to guide them, riding hard for the safety of Sherwood Forest. The pursuit was swift as the nobleman's men realized the escape. Arrows flew and hooves thundered, but the forest was Robin's domain, and he navigated it with unmatched skill. As they reached the depths of Sherwood, the canopy of trees enveloped them in its protective shadow, allowing them to vanish from their pursuers. Once safe, Marian's relief was palpable. In the solace of the forest, surrounded by the merry men who welcomed her with open arms, she felt a sense of home. The forest, with its rugged beauty and the freedom it represented, resonated with her spirit. Under the green leaves, and alongside Robin, she was not just safe, but free. The rescue of Maid Marian became legendary, not just for its daring nature, but for what it represented, a defiance against the tyranny that sought to control and oppress. It was a testament to the bond between Robin and Marian, a bond forged in childhood and solidified in the struggle for justice. Marian's presence in the forest brought new strength to the merry men. Her courage and intelligence were invaluable, her archery skills rivaling even Robin's. Together, they were a formidable force, their love a beacon for all who struggled under the yoke of oppression. In the tales told around firesides for generations, the story of Marian's rescue is a highlight, showcasing not just the bravery of Robin Hood and his band, but the enduring power of love and freedom. It stands as a reminder that true strength often comes not from the might of an army, but from the courage of a few hearts united in a righteous cause. In Sherwood Forest, Marian was no longer a pawn in a game of power, but a queen in a realm of justice and truth, her story intertwined with Robin's in the lore of the land. Chapter 11. The King's Pardon. The return of King Richard the Lionheart from the Crusades marked a pivotal moment in the tales of Robin Hood and his merry men. King Richard, known for his valor and justice, had been away for years, fighting in distant lands, leaving his kingdom under the control of his less benevolent brother, Prince John, and his unscrupulous allies, including the Sheriff of Nottingham. The news of King Richard's return spread like wildfire through Nottinghamshire, igniting hope in the hearts of the common people and fear in those who had exploited his absence. Among those most interested in the king's return was Robin Hood, whose actions, though branded as outlawry, were in defence of the king's justice. King Richard, upon his return, was appalled to learn of the injustices committed in his name and the suffering of his people under the regency of his brother. Determined to restore order and fairness, he sought to understand the true state of his realm. It was during this quest for truth that the king heard tales of Robin Hood, the outlaw who robbed from the rich to give to the poor, who fought against the tyranny of the sheriff and the corruption that had taken root in his absence. Moved by the stories of Robin's bravery and the loyalty he inspired among the people, King Richard decided to extend an offer of pardon to Robin Hood and his men, an act that would legitimize their efforts and restore them to society. The king believed that men of such courage and principle were exactly what his kingdom needed to heal and rebuild. The offer of the pardon was communicated through a royal decree, announced in the town square of Nottingham and sent through messengers to Sherwood Forest. Robin Hood, upon receiving this news, was faced with a decision that would define his future. Accepting the pardon meant he and his merry men could leave the outlaw life behind, return to their homes, and live free from the shadow of the gallows. However, it also meant trusting the king's promise and stepping out from the safety of the forest that had been their protector. Gathering his men, Robin shared the news of the king's pardon. The camp was divided. Some saw it as a chance to end their days of hardship and risk, while others distrusted the offer, fearing it might be a trap set by the sheriff to capture them once and for all. The debate was earnest and heartfelt, each man speaking his mind while Robin listened, weighing their words carefully. After much deliberation, Robin decided to meet King Richard, not only to secure his men's safety, but to gauge the truth of the king's intentions. Disguised as a common knight, Robin approached the royal court. Upon meeting King Richard, Robin was struck by the king's sincerity and his commitment to justice. The king listened intently to Robin's accounts of the sheriff's misdeeds and the struggles of the common folk. Impressed by Robin's honesty and clear vision for a fairer kingdom, King Richard reaffirmed his offer of pardon in person, promising to hold Robin and his men under his protection and pledging to address the corruption that had plagued his land. Robin, in turn, pledged his loyalty to King Richard, agreeing to support his reign and uphold the laws of the land, not as an outlaw, but as a guardian of the realm. The pardon was accepted, and a grand ceremony was held in Nottingham, where Robin and his merry men were officially pardoned. The people of Nottinghamshire rejoiced, seeing in this act a new era of hope and fairness under King Richard's rule. Thus, the king's pardon was not just a legal decree, but a symbol of redemption and a new beginning. For Robin Hood, it was the culmination of his fight for justice, an acknowledgement that his cause was just and his actions noble. It marked the end of his life as an outlaw and the beginning of his legacy as a hero of the people whose spirit would forever embody the struggle for justice and equality. Chapter 12. Refusing the King's Pardon. The green canopies of Sherwood Forest whispered tales of valour as Robin Hood faced one of his most pivotal decisions. King Richard the Lionheart, having returned from the Crusades, extended a royal pardon to Robin and his merry men, a gesture that promised safety and a return to normal life. Yet, despite the allure of peace and legality, Robin found himself hesitating, caught between the future he could have and the principles that had guided him into becoming an outlaw. Robin's refusal of the king's pardon was not a decision made lightly. It stemmed from deep convictions and a resolute commitment to his cause. He had become a symbol of justice in a time when the law often failed those it was meant to protect. To accept the pardon would mean to endorse the very system he had fought against, one that allowed the rich and powerful to oppress the poor and helpless. As he walked through the familiar trails of Sherwood Forest, Robin pondered the king's offer. He thought of the common folk, whose burdens were eased by his acts of defiance. Their plight had driven him to take up the outlaw's mantle, and their welfare was woven into the very fabric of his purpose. How could he abandon them by stepping into a system that had often been the source of their misery? The more he thought, the clearer his resolve became. Robin met with his loyal companions to discuss the offer. Around the flickering campfire, a council was held, where each man voiced his thoughts. While some argued for acceptance, citing the weariness of constant vigilance against the sheriff's forces, others, like Little John and Friar Tuck, supported Robin's inclination to decline. They agreed that their mission extended beyond their own safety and spoke to a greater need for justice and fairness within the realm. Robin's mind went back to the countless faces of those he had helped, the grateful eyes of children, the relieved smiles of mothers, and the respectful nods of the elders. These were the people who still needed him. His heart, steadfast and sure, guided him towards continuing his support for the oppressed. If the king truly wished to reform the laws and the land, then Robin and his band would be more effective as allies from the shadows, pushing for change and holding the powerful accountable. With his decision made, Robin Hood penned a letter to King Richard. In it, he respectfully declined the pardon, explaining his reasons with sincerity and clarity. He expressed his deep respect for the king and his reforms, but underscored the need for him to remain in Sherwood Forest, serving as a guardian of the common people. Robin pledged to continue his support for a just rule and proposed to serve as an ally to the crown, albeit from outside the traditional bounds of the law. The letter was delivered by a trusted messenger, and when King Richard read Robin's words, he was moved by the depth of his loyalty to the people. Understanding the unique role Robin Hood played, the king accepted his decision with a heavy heart, but also with a profound respect for the outlaw's integrity. In the days that followed, Robin Hood's choice reverberated through Nottinghamshire. The common folk, hearing of his decision, felt a renewed sense of hope. They knew that Robin Hood had forsaken a chance at a peaceful life for the sake of their well-being and his principles. His legend grew, not just as a rebel and an outlaw, but as a true protector of the people. In the glades and hollows of Sherwood Forest, life went on. Robin Hood continued his acts of defiance, his archery as sharp as his commitment to justice. His refusal of the pardon became a defining moment in his legacy, a testament to his unwavering dedication to the ideals of equity and the welfare of the oppressed. Under his leadership, the Merry Men not only survived but thrived, a band united not just by loyalty to one another, but by a shared commitment to uphold the mantle of justice, wherever it led them. Chapter 13. Robin Hood's Adventures Beyond Sherwood. The legend of Robin Hood, usually rooted in the leafy enclaves of Sherwood Forest, reaches beyond into the broader tapestry of England. The tales of his bravery and justice were not confined to Nottinghamshire. They spread, carrying his fame to distant lands, where he and his merry men embarked on adventures lesser known, but equally significant, in shaping the myth of the beloved outlaw. One such adventure took place in the rugged hills of Yorkshire. Word had reached Robin that a group of miners was being unjustly oppressed by a greedy landowner who claimed their findings and paid them little. The miners, desperate and downtrodden, sought the help of the only man they believed could stand up to their tyrant, Robin Hood. Determined to aid them, Robin and his band travelled north, blending into the local populace to understand the full extent of the injustice. Disguised as miners, they worked alongside the men, listening to their stories and planning a way to right the wrongs they endured. One crisp dawn, they executed their plan. As the landowner's guards transported a chest of gold extracted from the mines, Robin and his men ambushed them, swiftly and silently. The gold was returned to the miners, and Robin left the landowner a note warning him against further exploitation. The news of Robin Hood's intervention spread like wildfire, turning him into a folk hero even in these parts of England. His reputation as a protector of the common man was solidified further, and songs praising his deeds began to echo in the taverns and market squares. Another journey led Robin and his companions to the coastal regions of East Anglia. Here they learned of a corrupt merchant who was smuggling goods and evading taxes, which burdened the local villagers with undue levies. Seeing an opportunity to correct this imbalance, Robin Hood devised a plan to capture the merchant's ship. Under the cloak of night, Robin and his merry men, unaccustomed to the sea but bold in spirit, commandeered the ship as it lay anchored in a quiet cove. They redistributed the smuggled goods to the villagers, leaving the merchant tied to the mast with a pile of the taxes he had tried to evade. This act not only relieved the villagers of their unfair burdens, but also served as a stern reminder about the reach of Robin Hood's justice. In another tale from the west, near the borders of Wales, Robin Hood found himself embroiled in a dispute between two villages over the rights to a well that lay at their boundary. The conflict threatened to turn violent, with each side laying claim to the water source crucial for both communities. Seeing the potential for unnecessary bloodshed, Robin, ever the mediator, proposed a contest of archery to settle the dispute. Representing each village, the best archers stepped forward. Robin judged the contest, which ended in a draw, suggesting that the well's water should be shared. His fair judgment was accepted by both villages, and peace was restored. These lesser-known adventures of Robin Hood were crucial in spreading his ethos across England. They underscored his commitment to justice, his cleverness in overcoming odds, and his willingness to stand up for the righteous cause, regardless of the locale. As the stories of his deeds spread from village to village and county to county, the legend of Robin Hood grew larger than the man. He became a symbol of hope and resistance against tyranny, a common man's hero who could appear anywhere the oppressed needed him. Through these adventures beyond Sherwood, Robin Hood's legend was not just preserved in the annals of time, it was celebrated as a living, breathing spirit of the forest and beyond, roaming the lands wherever injustice could be found. Chapter 14. Betrayal and Capture. In the vibrant yet shadowed tapestry of Robin Hood's legend, not all threads were woven with loyalty and valour. Among the many tales celebrated for their daring and righteousness, there stands a stark story of betrayal, a moment that tested Robin Hood's resolve and the fidelity of his merry men. This chapter delves into the painful yet pivotal experience of Robin Hood's betrayal and subsequent capture, an ordeal that ultimately underscored his enduring cunning and leadership. The betrayal came from within, a harsh blow to Robin, who had always fostered a close-knit band bound by mutual respect and shared ideals. The traitor was Walter, a relatively new recruit who had quickly gained Robin's trust through displays of bravery and loyalty. However, Walter's true intentions were darkened by greed. Secretly resentful of Robin's authority and envious of his fame, Walter struck a clandestine deal with the Sheriff of Nottingham, the very symbol of the tyranny Robin fought against. Under the guise of a routine raid on a wealthy merchant's caravan, Walter led Robin into a trap. The plan was simple yet sinister: isolate Robin and signal the sheriff's men lying in wait. As Robin and a few of his men approached the caravan, they found it unusually unguarded. Sensing something amiss, Robin hesitated, but it was too late. Walter's signal, a piercing whistle, cut through the quiet of the forest, and suddenly the woods erupted with the king's guards, armed and ready. Captured and bound, Robin was taken to the depths of Nottingham Castle's dungeons, a place he had managed to elude many times before. The betrayal stung deeper than the cold shackles he now wore. Imprisoned and alone, Robin's mind raced, not just for a way out, but for the fate of his merry men, now leaderless and vulnerable. Back in Sherwood Forest, the news of Robin's capture spread like a mournful wind. His band was shaken, but their resolve did not falter. Led by Little John and bolstered by the indomitable spirit of Maid Marian, they planned a daring rescue. Meanwhile, Robin, ever resourceful, was already plotting his escape. In the castle, Robin's reputation as a master archer came to his aid in an unexpected form. The young prince, intrigued by tales of Robin's unmatched skill, requested a demonstration, a respite from the grimness of his dungeon life. The king, curious and somewhat amused, agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to further humiliate the famed outlaw. Under heavy guard, Robin was taken to the courtyard, where a bow and a single arrow were granted to him. His hands, though shackled, were steady and his eyes sharp. With a swift glance around, Robin assessed his surroundings and the positions of his guards. As he raised the bow, the tension was palpable, not just from the impending shot, but from the charged air of his impending plan. With a deep breath, Robin aimed not at the target set before him, but at the gate's locking mechanism. The arrow flew true and struck with such force that the lock broke, causing confusion and chaos among the guards. Seizing the moment, Robin sprinted, his familiarity with the castle's layout from previous escapades aiding his flight. Outside the walls, his loyal merry men, led by Little John and Maid Marian, awaited, having anticipated his escape route. The reunion was swift and sweet, but the shadow of betrayal lingered. Walter's treachery was a lesson hard learned. Trust was a precious commodity, not to be given lightly. Though pained by the betrayal, Robin's leadership was undimmed. His commitment to his cause only strengthened by the ordeal. The episode of Robin Hood's betrayal and capture, followed by his cunning escape, added a somber but invigorating chapter to his legend. It highlighted not only the perils that came with defying authority, but also the resilience of true leadership and the unbreakable spirit of those committed to justice. In the tales told around firesides for generations afterward, the story served as a poignant reminder of both the vulnerabilities and the indomitable will of the hero of Sherwood Forest. Chapter 15. The Last Days of Robin Hood. As the years waned, so did the figure of Robin Hood, the legendary outlaw who had become a symbol of justice and defiance against tyranny. Time, the inescapable arrow, eventually found its mark, and Robin faced his final days, not in battle, but in quiet reflection, surrounded by the lush greenery of Sherwood Forest, the sanctuary and stage of his many exploits. Robin's final adventures were less about daring raids and more about solidifying the legacy he would leave behind. He focused on strengthening the bonds within his band of merry men, ensuring that they would continue to protect the innocent and uphold the values that had defined their cause. He spent time mentoring the younger outlaws, imparting wisdom and skills that would sustain the next generation. However, as Robin's physical strength diminished, his strategic mind remained sharp. One of his last significant acts was to broker peace among neighbouring villages, which had long been at odds over land disputes. With his characteristic blend of fairness and diplomacy, Robin helped them see that mutual cooperation was more beneficial than enduring conflict. This final act of peacemaking was a fitting end to a life spent fighting injustice. As his health declined, Robin spent long hours with his closest friends, Little John, Friar Tuck, and Maid Marian, sharing stories and reminiscing about their adventures. These moments were bittersweet, filled with laughter and the occasional tear, as they all knew that their time together was drawing to a close. Maid Marian, ever at his side, tended to Robin with a gentle and caring hand. Their love, forged in the fires of adversity and celebrated in moments of peace, remained strong to the end. Her presence brought comfort to Robin, a reminder of all they had achieved together. One quiet morning, feeling the weight of his years and knowing his time was near, Robin asked Little John to help him fulfill one last wish. With his loyal friend's support, he ventured deep into Sherwood Forest, to a spot that had always brought him peace. There, beneath the ancient boughs of his beloved forest, Robin took up his bow for the last time. Drawing on the last of his strength, he let loose one final arrow, asking Little John to bury him where it landed. The arrow flew true to Robin's skill, even in his weakened state, and marked the spot where he would rest. In the shade of the trees he had protected, surrounded by the land he had loved, Robin Hood's journey came to an end. His passing was mourned not only by his band of merry men, but by all who had heard of his deeds. The villages he had helped and the people he had saved remembered him not just as an outlaw, but as a hero who had fought for the common good. Stories of his bravery, his generosity, and his unwavering commitment to justice continued to be told by those who lived in the shadow of Sherwood Forest and far beyond. Robin Hood's legacy was not confined to the tales passed down through generations. It was evident in the way the merry men carried on his work. Inspired by his leadership, they continued to protect the forest and its denizens, maintaining the spirit of their leader in every act of kindness and every stand against injustice. In the end, Robin Hood's life was a testament to the power of courage and the enduring nature of true leadership. His story, a blend of myth and reality, continues to inspire those who seek to make the world a fairer, more just place. As the legend of Robin Hood lives on, it serves as a timeless reminder that even one person's efforts can leave a lasting impact on the hearts and minds of many. Chapter 16. Robin Hood's Death. As the last leaves of autumn fell in Sherwood Forest, marking the end of an era, the legendary outlaw Robin Hood faced his mortality. His life, filled with adventures, battles for justice, and acts of generosity, was drawing to a peaceful close, not on the battlefield, but in the quiet solitude of the forest he had protected and loved. Robin's health had been declining, a slow ebbing of the strength that had once defined the fearless leader. Knowing his time was near, Robin summoned his closest friends and companions to his side one final time. Among them were Little John, Friar Tuck, and Maid Marian, whose presence brought comfort to Robin in his final hours. In a clearing surrounded by ancient oaks, where the light filtered softly through the branches, Robin spoke of his final wishes. His voice, though weakened, carried the undeniable strength of a leader, a friend, and a guardian. He requested a simple burial, no stone nor marker to glorify his name, only that he be laid to rest in the heart of Sherwood Forest, among the sounds of nature and the rustling leaves. His most poignant request was regarding his beloved bow, the companion of his many battles and adventures. Robin entrusted this bow to Little John, his loyal friend and comrade. His wish was that the bow be hung on the wall of the home they had shared with their band, as a symbol of their struggles and victories, a reminder to continue the fight for justice and protection of the oppressed. As Robin's final day dawned, He asked Little John to support him in standing one last time. With his friend's aid, Robin took his bow and notched an arrow. He drew the bowstring with the last of his strength and released the arrow into the forest. Where it landed, he wished to be buried, letting fate decide the exact spot in the forest that had been his home and refuge. The arrow flew, true and straight, and landed deep in the forest, marking the spot where Robin Hood would rest. Little John and Maid Marian, tears in their eyes, honoured his wishes, burying him there in a quiet ceremony attended by the merry men. They spoke not of sorrow, but of the inspiration Robin had been to each of them, and of the legacy he left behind. Robin Hood's bow, as per his wishes, was hung prominently in their communal home, a symbol that inspired all who looked upon it. It was not merely a weapon, but a testament to the skill, courage, and righteousness of the man who wielded it. It served as a reminder to all of Robin Hood's principle, that strength and power should be used to protect and uplift, not to oppress and subdue. As the years passed, the legend of Robin Hood grew, his deeds becoming the stuff of folklore and song. His death did not mark the end of his influence. Rather, it perpetuated his ideals, inspiring countless others to stand up for justice and rightness. The story of his life and death was told and retold, each telling a tribute to the man who had become a symbol of hope and resistance against tyranny. Robin Hood's legacy lived on through the actions of those he inspired. His bow, a revered relic, reminded all who saw it of the power of standing up for what is right, of fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves, and of leading with both heart and strength. In the whispers of the forest, in the rustle of the leaves, the spirit of Robin Hood endured, eternal as the woods he had loved so dearly. Chapter 17. The legend lives on. In the verdant depths of Sherwood Forest, the story of Robin Hood, the brave outlaw who defied authority to uphold justice, began. But it did not end with his passing. Rather, it took root, blossoming into a legend that has permeated centuries, cultures, and continents. Since the medieval times when he allegedly roamed the English countryside, Robin Hood's story has been kept alive through a vibrant tradition of oral storytelling. Minstrels and bards sang of his deeds in bustling marketplaces and quiet villages, captivating audiences and inspiring other storytellers. As these tales spread, they were embroidered with the imaginations and morals of those recounting them, ensuring that Robin Hood's legend evolved while retaining its core message of justice, bravery, and the fight against oppression. With the advent of printing, Robin Hood's adventures transitioned from oral narratives to published tales. Ballads such as A Jest of Robin Hood and plays put his stories into the hands and hearts of a wider audience, setting the foundation for his enduring presence in literary culture. These printed stories solidified his image as a hero of the people, a character who was complex yet accessible, a rebel with a cause noble and just. Robin Hood's influence is unmistakable in popular culture. He has been the subject of countless novels, from historical interpretations to romanticized fiction. Each new rendition adds layers to his character, exploring different facets of the man and the myth, reflecting the values and issues of the times. In children's books, Robin Hood is portrayed as a figure of fun and adventure. His moral code distilled into easily digestible lessons of right and wrong. The silver screen and television have also played significant roles in keeping the legend of Robin Hood alive. From the early days of cinema to the modern era, films and TV shows have depicted Robin Hood in various incarnations. Sometimes as a swashbuckling hero, other times as a strategic genius, but always as a champion of the oppressed. Each portrayal brings him to life for a new generation, ensuring his place in the pantheon of timeless characters. Moreover, Robin Hood's impact extends beyond entertainment. He is a symbol in cultural and political discourse, often invoked in discussions about justice, equality, and the redistribution of wealth. His rob from the rich and give to the poor ethos resonates in societies grappling with inequality and serves as a metaphor for the righteous rebel. Academically, Robin Hood continues to be a subject of study and scholarly research. Historians and cultural theorists explore his origins, the historical context of the stories, and their significance in understanding medieval society and its views on law, order, and social equity. These studies help peel back the layers of myth to reveal insights about the era that created and sustained the legend. Festivals and reenactments further celebrate and perpetuate Robin Hood's story. In Nottinghamshire, annual events bring together enthusiasts, historians, and tourists in a vibrant celebration of the outlaw's legacy. These gatherings feature archery competitions, medieval banquets, and dramatizations of Robin Hood's adventures, allowing people to experience a taste of his world. As a figure embedded in the global cultural consciousness, Robin Hood remains a powerful symbol of the fight against injustice. His legend encourages individuals to stand up for what is right and to protect those who cannot protect themselves. In this way, Robin Hood is more than just a character in a story. He is a call to action, a reminder of the power of courage and integrity. Thus, the legend of Robin Hood lives on, not just in the pages of books or on the silver screen, but in the hearts of those who believe in the values he championed. His story, continually retold and reimagined, continues to inspire and entertain, a testament to its enduring appeal and relevance. In every recounting, in every adaptation, Robin Hood's spirit remains undimmed, a beacon of hope and resistance that transcends time and place.